What's up, everybody? This is Stephen A. Williams, president and founder of the creditrepairshop.com. In this video, what I want to do is I want to answer some questions about why did my score go down? Because some of the times people, well, just today in my office, one of my customer service team members came to me and they said that one of our customers that had achieved a 725 score, their score dropped. And I said, well, what did they do? Did they do anything that was new, any collection, anything? He said, no. So, but he said no collections, but he did get a loan. And they dropped 75 points from getting a loan. Now, let me tell you some of the reasons why this could happen when you don't have anything negative and you just got a new loan. When your credit score is figured, each of the credit reporting agencies, TransUnion, Equifax, Experian, they use a model, an algorithm to score your credit, to come up with your credit score, to come up with your FICO score, to come up with your Vantage score. And one of the things that can really, when you have a jump, when you put on a new account, this is like one of the two major things when you think about it. It's like right there in front of our faces, but a lot of people seem to miss it. Is that the first thing is that you have debt that you've added on. So from one month, maybe you had uh, with your house and everything, you had $150,000 in debt. And the month before that, you paid down your house and your credit cards and your car. So it was like at 152. And then you paid it down. Now it's at 150 for this month. But then now the next month, when you got approved for, let's just say you got approved for even a motorcycle. You bought a motorcycle or a boat, and it was $10,000. So now the next month you have, instead of that $150,000 in debt that you had went down from 152 the previous month, now you have $160,000 in overall debt. So now the algorithm is going to look at that and say, okay, uh, we're going to drop you some points because your debt ratio has went up. You have more debt. And then the other thing that's right in front of you that a lot of people don't pay attention to is that if you look at your payment history plays a huge part in your credit score. That's why people don't want to have late payments. When they have a late payment, they're like, man, my score dropped. So if you have good, clean payment history, and then all of a sudden you put a new account on and it's starting from day one, now your average of all of your payment history has actually went down. Like before, you could have all the way around the board, like you've been paying on your house for 2 years, your car for 2 years, your credit card for 2 years, uh, other stuff for 2 years. So what ends up happening is you your overall average of payment history is going to go down. So you're starting at month number one, really month zero with a new account, and then they're going to average that zero into your other payment history that you already have established. And just by the way the algorithm is put together, it's going to pull that down. Now, the other things that can play a part, but not a huge part, is just having inquiries. Now, if you get what I call bombed with inquiries, like you go to get a car and they shoot your credit out to multiple people, uh, that is not the right thing to do, and that can end up affecting you in a bad way. Like you can have a 20 or 30 point decrease because they can knock you down 2 points for each one of those. We've seen that happen with people. And one of the things that I've seen happen is that if a person has good credit, they will not play that game if you have good credit. What they're going to do, and this is probably what they do, is they're going to run credit themselves and they're going to get your score. And then when they see that, they're only going to feed, if you have good credit, to maybe two or three, four at the most banks. They're not going to try to burn you up. But when you have bad credit or lower credit scores, 600, somewhere in that range, they're going to blow you up and they're going to shoot you to a lot of people because number one, those types of loans, you're shooting at a higher interest rate, so more the payment that you make is going to go towards the profit, and it is going to go towards the vehicle, and so they're going to really shoot that out there like that, and that's they shouldn't be allowed to do that. So that's another way that your scores can go down. Also, another thing that can happen is when you applied and had that application, that your name could have been spelt wrong on the application. This happened to my wife on an application where they spelled her name wrong. Her name is Barbara, and she spells it a different way than what everybody else spells it, and she had to get that corrected on that application, because what happened is on her credit reports it shows up as an alias, and you can lose some marks when you have these aliases, because if a computer is reading everything and making the decisions for humans, they can knock your scores down, because the computer's just going to say, hey, this person had this name and this name and this name, or they had this name and this name. Maybe they're trying to get credit in that name somewhere and then credit in that name somewhere else. We're smart and we caught them. So that's why you have to watch out for that. And we automatically, when we get our reviews and we send out for people, is that's one of the first things that we get corrected. That corrected, and any of the old outdated addresses corrected. Other things that you need to also be aware of is if you do have where you've made payments and it's not being reported properly on your report. So, like I gave you an example where it was 152,000 and then it went to 150,000. Maybe you made payments and you're like, hey, they're not putting that down that I'm making payments on that. They're just keeping the balances the same for a couple of months. You want to get that corrected, because that can also either make your scores go down, or it can make it not go up as much as it should, because they're not giving you the credit for what you're paying on, making your overall balances go down. And then obviously not having any late payments, like I mentioned earlier, and not having high uh, balances. One of my customers that actually got a trade line, a very nice trade line placed on their credit reports, and it didn't jump up. And I was like, well, what did you do? Did you do something? And then we looked at the credit reports, and they went on a vacation and they used their credit card that they had, almost 70% of it. The sweet spot for using any of your credit cards, it doesn't matter what type, you should only use 25 to 30% max, because if it even if you're going to pay it off, you need to make sure that you pay it off before the statement date. Statement date is sometimes different than the due date, so you could pay it off and on the statement, when it's due, but the statement date when they're going to start using the charges from the month before, that can make your balances look like it's more, and then you're going to get penalized, and that's going to make your scores go down also. So you got to be careful for that. But what I tell everybody to do, if you can't pay them off, and you got to be careful on paying off, some of these companies will close out your cards. But if you can't pay it off, then what you need to do is make sure that it's either 20 or 30%, so you don't get penalized. If you keep it in that sweet spot, you're going to see that your scores will continue to go up, because they want to make it like you use the credit, but you don't use it too much. Like, you got money, yeah, I got money, but I don't use all of that money. That's how they want you to look when they're looking at your credit profile. So I hope that this information was valuable to you. If you need help with your credit, please visit us at thecreditrepairshop.com. If you need your credit reports and scores, please go to the website the number 3scores.com. If you have any trouble with debt collectors, please go to my website, thecreditrepairshop.com. Or the links are below this video. The links are below this video for the cease and desist collection activities letter, for the debt validation letter, and the statute of limitations letter. Those links are below here if you ever need those to deal with debt collectors. And again, please, if you I have the t-shirts available, and subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. Ask your questions and also post your comments. This is Stephen A. Williams, President and Founder of thecreditrepairshop.com.